I'm ready. And I think we are there. There is a little bit of a delay. So I think people might have just seen me talking about, oh, are we ready or not? But here we are. So if you are watching live, then welcome, welcome, welcome. Please pop a comment below to show that you are here. We'd love to have your questions as well today. We are live for Spark Stories. So the whole point of me doing these little chats with people is because I talk so much in my parent mentor business about how children have like an inner spark and we can really help their mental health by following that inner spark and trusting them. And I realized that as a networking leader, I was meeting all these wonderful women that have said no to their careers and they're following their spark. And I thought that was just really, really cool. So we are live today with Sarah Rive, and she is going to talk to us about, um, well, I'll let her tell you what we're going to talk about. And yeah, I'll just pass you over, Sarah. Go for it. Tell us about you. Tell us what you do and how you got there. And I am just trying to share into my Facebook group as well, so I'm not looking up at the screen, but here we go. That seems to have worked. Right, cool. Go for it, Sarah.
I'm a business and marketing mentor coach, and you know, I've had businesses for many years, but I never expected to get into business. So, like when I was younger as a singer, I trained as a teaching assistant. I really wanted to work with kids and make a difference and help people, predominantly because my little brother has additional needs. And, I was fortunate to kind of do that and become a qualified teaching assistant. But coming out of a domestic violence relationship, I moved 180 miles away from home in Birmingham and moved to here in Suffolk, Norfolk kind of border. And my grandparents had taken on the lease of a pub, so they asked me to run it. And before you knew it, I was starting my own business, um, my own craft business. And
Oh,
then right
cool.
after I started, I fell pregnant with my little boy, who unfortunately was premature, was micropremi, passed away. And I did the Justice for Jaden campaign, which had such a massive impact globally, which was fantastic. But at the end of that campaign, I was kind of like, what do I do now? Because I'd given up my business to do it. I was just like, I don't know, I felt a bit lost. So I went back into employment, into leadership roles. And then after having my younger two, I kind of missed the energy I got and the spark I got from having my business
Yeah.
and meeting people and connecting, because I think being I'd always said I wouldn't be a stay-at-home mom. It just wasn't in me. And I know there can be a lot of shame around that. But for me, that's the honest truth. Like, I love my kids. I love being a mom, but I needed something more. And then when
That's
my
yeah,
nan,
like that's
yeah,
the empowerment. Like you do what you do because you make that choice, not because you're forced into a position, right? So
yeah.
yeah, definitely.
And I just, I don't know, I guess I just loved building things and doing things my own way, because I'd never do anything the way that most, I guess, coaches and marketing kind of coaches would teach you. Like, I know now that I'm most likely ADHD, and that's why I struggled following the normal path. But I always made it work. I always made my own way,
Mm,
um, through failure as well as, successes. I don't really believe in failure. I do think it is
no,
all a
yeah,
learning curve.
definitely.
Um, so it's all a way of finding things that do and don't work. That's how I frame it for myself and for my clients. And yeah, so when my nan was terminally ill, I was running my granddad's business, and she said to me, let go of that business, start your own again. It's what you're passionate about. Do your own business, even if it's a craft business. Just make yourself happy. So I found myself. I knew my marriage that was in wasn't healthy, and I was felt financially trapped. And I was just like, well, Nan's not here now, so I can't turn to her. I'm looking after granddad. I've got the kids, and I just felt empty. So I basically scraped together, change off the side, and I had 20 quid. So when I went to Poundland to do like toothpaste and all the rest of it, all the little bits and bobs, I picked up some craft bits. And then before I knew it, I'd created this whole new craft business that went from £20 investment to turning over 2.5K in 2 months.
What were you making?
Um, Initially, I was just painting. I'd learned a little bit of resin,
Oh
Previously,
yeah.
and before she passed, I brought me some resin. So I was doing all bits like that, but a lot of it was painting using acrylic paint
Mm.
on the glass of like photo frames and
Cool.
glassware and just making candle holders. And
Yeah.
I loved everything arty. I've always loved. And I'd got back into drawing and painting before she passed. So I was just doing that and I went out to the craft fairs. But initially, I did it in my garage. I printed off some little flyers on my home printer, handed them around the village, posted them through doors, did it as a kind of, you know, let's get to know each other kind of thing, because I didn't
Yeah.
know was the village and I didn't know anybody. And it just kind of went from there, craft fairs online. And yeah, but then COVID hit.
Oh yeah. Lovely old COVID.
Yeah. But do you know what? It gave me a little bit of a break, a little bit of time to reevaluate. I stepped in and helped in and invested in a friend's business. And it showed me I could do lots of different things that it reaffirmed me that my knowledge was there.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I've started and ran many businesses. And then last year, we unfortunately, our house went up for sale. And before we was renting, and before it got sold, we had a burst pipe, which literally destroyed pretty much everything other than the business stuff that was in the garage. But obviously, I couldn't run the business from home. We were
Yeah.
homeless. So it was really tough. The judgment, the self-judgment was
Mm.
massive. But I was
Yeah.
just in survival mode. And I just got to a point where I was so burnt out. I was like, I can't do any of this anymore. I'd moved the businesses into my friend's shop. Everything was going well, it was building, but I just didn't have the heart in it anymore. I trained other people and I was like, do you know what? This is your opportunity. I'm going to give you these businesses. This is your opportunity to create something for yourselves and take it in the direction you want to go. Um, and yeah, I was going to start a marketing business. I had a couple of prospective clients, which I was really excited about, and that didn't work out how I expected. So I decided to do some personal development work and
Mhm.
kind of reconnected with a coach I'd done some free stuff with in the past. And yeah, next thing you know, within a month of doing that, I was trained as a coach, and
Amazing.
my life's just been so much better since.
Yeah, it's amazing what I love hearing people's stories because like things happen and rubbish stuff happens, but like you said earlier, nothing's a failure. Like it's all like it all happens for a reason and it all leads you to where you are and yeah. Not that we want those some of those things to happen, like a burst pipe's not exactly on my list of things that I want to happen, but you are here now and that's, there's
I
something in
truly
that.
believe it kind of led me to where I was meant to be,
Mm,
because when I was
yeah.
doing some training in marketing for my own businesses, just to kind of upskill, I got introduced to coaching. Um, the team that were trainers, they were coaches as well. So I'd had a little
Mm,
bit of coaching and I realized that I still had that passion for teaching, but
yeah.
I didn't know how to incorporate it. I didn't feel confident enough to step out of my box, if you like, as a crafter and as a business
Yeah.
owner to say, I really want to do this. And the time I did kind of try a little bit, I felt like I'd failed. So I was
Yeah.
kind of put back in the box a bit. So um yeah, but when I approached that coach and told her what I was doing and so she turned around and said it wasn't a matter of if, it was a matter of when. And she was really proud. And that just kind of gave me the energy to really start believing in myself, along with my coach and my sister coaches. And I want to be able to do that for the people.
Yeah. And it's
Like my
amazing how talking to the right person can have such a quick and huge effect on you and your mindset and stuff, isn't it? Because I'm the same. I've been in the same not the same position as you, but like talking to a coach and how that can just change you so quickly is really amazing. It's
Yeah,
really
I
cool.
think that's the blessing with coaching. There's a bit of a stigma around coaching at the minute. But I think if you find the right coach and coaches that really are doing it from the heart, the quick transformation is phenomenal. You know,
Yeah.
when I looked at my personal profile, when I was starting to build my public profile, I was kind of like my professional profile, I was there going, oh, do I delete that? Do I hide it? And I was like, no, because actually it shows my growth and what coaching
Mhm.
has done for me.
Yeah.
And it's more relatable, let's face
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
And
definitely.
like I said
People
to
want
you,
real.
being real and transparent. I'm pretty much an open book. And it's been it's not been an easy journey, but I've started to realize that that openness and that transparency and my vulnerability, like my coach said to me a long time ago, and I kind of went, "Ooh," but my vulnerability is, one of my superpowers, if you like.
Mm,
So, and I think
yeah,
we need more of that on social media. I ask my clients to be really vulnerable and open up to me. And I think it's fair that they see all of it, not just the
yeah,
good bits, not just the
yeah.
highlights, because when they go through it, they know they can get through it.
Mhm. Love it. Very interesting. Cool. So for the mums out there and the business owners out there and the people that might be watching or watching on replay, what is your, I know it's very hard to come up with one thing, but what's your like your top tip to help mums?
I think through the whole process, one thing that's really solidified for me now is, it's a little bit of a process, but it's kind of understanding what you need. As
Mm,
mums, we're very shut off to what we need. It's like we need to be about the kids all the time. And what we don't see is that when we're unhappy, they can sense that. So I think it's really important to acknowledge and accept what we need and what we want, whether it be for them, but also for us. And then once we know that, it makes it a lot easier to figure out, where the gaps are, you know, to achieving what we want to achieve. It could be, mindset, it could be skill set. But once we know and not judging ourselves for it, I think is the big one. Once we know what it
yeah.
is we want and what we're trying to achieve, we can figure out the gaps and figure out the steps we need to take to get to where we want to go. And then the biggest one for me that I've learned is that I had no boundaries. So within those businesses and all of those businesses, because I was scared of abandonment, because I didn't want to let people down, because I wanted to do my best and I wanted to be there, and I'd formed such strong connections with my customers, they could message me at midnight and I would reply straight away. And that led to burnout. And
Mhm.
that led me to not be able to build in the way I wanted to and to give in the way I wanted to. So sometimes we have to, just take a little bit of a step back. I work less hours now. I used to work 90-hour weeks within my business. And when you worked it out, there wasn't, in time wise, there wasn't profitability if you was to, work it out like an hourly wage. And I was exhausted, and my kids didn't get a lot of time with me. Now my kids get fun time with me. They get quality time with me every day and I'm more productive. I'm more productive, setting the
Absolutely.
boundaries, working less, taking care of myself better. My kids are now thriving, where before I've had that mum guilt all the time.
Yeah.
And I don't get that half as much anymore because I see my kids happy and I'm
Mhm.
happy, you know. We always have what we need.
Yeah, definitely. I've seen that happy mum, happy baby put out there all the time. I'm like, yeah, but I think it's a two-way street. You've got to like if like you do like you're saying, like if we are happy, then we're going to have an effect on them, but also they're going to have an effect on us. And it's like that exchange of energy, isn't it? Like we have to work as a team. It's like a team. And like you say, the mum guilt when we use that to actually help us and work out what we need. So, like I say to people sometimes, well, yes, I know you're feeling guilty about that because you didn't react in the way that you maybe wanted to, but what is that telling you? Instead of going down the shame spiral, what's that telling you about what you need? Because that probably is showing that there's an unmet need somewhere. Um, but I think people find it quite hard to work out what they want sometimes, especially as mums when our identity changes when we're a mum, doesn't it? We suddenly become,
Yeah.
oh, I'm Harry's mum or I'm Emily's mum. I don't have my own name anymore. Um, so what would you say to someone who you're working with and they're like, well, I don't know what I need. How do I work that out? Sorry, that might be
It's,
put you on the spot.
no, it's fine. I think our bodies tell us a lot. It
Mm.
might sound a bit woo-woo, but I have kind of
No, totally.
explored that, and it's really helped me listening to my body and my emotions and being able
Mhm.
to acknowledge them and kind of explore them a little bit has, made a huge difference in me knowing what I need and what I want. Some of the things I thought I needed are actually wants. And I didn't realize that until I started accepting myself and kind of taking that deeper look. That inner work is massive.
Hmm.
And if it's accessible to you, take it. It's so valuable, especially as a business owner and as a mum. Um, you know, I actually tried out a framework I created with my friends and with a client and now myself, and it's helped kind of like be able to take those actions. And it was predominantly around identity. When I figured out, and our identity changes all the time, so it's an ongoing process. But when I started to realize where how I was making my choices and my core values, how they were impacting my choices, both positively and negatively, not just looking at the positive and accepting those, I was able to start spotting where I was making choices that weren't beneficial to me and weren't meeting my needs. That was where I realized where my needs weren't being met. And that's it. It's really crunchy one. It's a really hard one sometimes to accept and acknowledge.
Yeah.
But once you're able to do that, you know, it makes a huge difference and you start showing up different. You start
Yeah.
taking action where I was like, I would never a few months ago have been confident doing this. Never. But by doing that kind of identity work, um, which my coach has been trying to push me to do for a while,
Mm.
as soon as I, allowed myself to do the identity work and look at the things that were influencing my choices, that's where my self-belief, my self-acceptance, my self-confidence, it all started coming together over the last few months and enabling me to like do things like this, be visible and take action.
Yeah. It's hard
Always,
though.
she always says to me that, I have all these ideas and being multi-layered, being suspected ADHD and being multi-layered, I have like a million and one ideas, but I don't action them.
Yeah.
You know, I'll run and then I'll freeze.
Yeah.
And this time with doing the work, doing that, the framework I'm talking about, I haven't froze this time. I've just continued to take those steps forward, even on the days where I don't want to, I'll take the little steps. So like when we think of bold and brave, which is essentially becoming bold and brave is my framework, um, it's not always about being visible. It's not about the things that people see, it's the things behind the scenes.
Hmm.
To me, if you have mental health conditions, so it's no secret amongst my friends and amongst my clients, I've I was diagnosed with clinical depression at the age of 16. And that's been a real challenge to navigate. I haven't been on medication for many years. But sometimes just getting out of bed and being able to
Mm.
do breakfast, get the kids up, that's bold and brave some days. And it's okay to accept that.
Mhm.
Another day she might feel bold enough to go live on Instagram. It's accepting who you are and what your capacity is for that day. But
Yeah.
yeah, when we know ourselves and accept ourselves, I think that's where the confidence comes from.
Yeah. And having that compassion that actually it's okay that I wasn't doing all the things today. I got out of bed. And
Yeah.
even if you didn't get out of bed, like you allowed yourself to rest, and that's an achievement in
Yeah,
itself.
that's a big one because there's so many of us as moms that, we just think we have to push when we're in
Yeah.
survival all the time. Coming out of survival was a really difficult one for me. Like I don't have the time to take care of myself, don't have the
Yeah.
time to think about
Yeah.
what I need. And the second I forced myself, and it was like I said, it was a really difficult one. But so I forced myself to take that time,
Mhm.
I started to feel better.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But
I think,
I I say it's given permission. I say to my clients, give yourself permission. Stop looking for outside validation.
yeah.
Give yourself permission to meet your needs.
Yeah. And I think you touched on a really important point there. Like sometimes you just have to be ready. Like I remember when I was pregnant with my 2-year-old, I was having some CBT around some different things. And they kept telling me to do all these like things, and they were like, "It's just 5 minutes stairs." Like, I don't have time. I don't have time, and I couldn't get past that barrier of I don't have the time to look after myself. And now like looking back, I'm like, of course you did, of course you had time. But now I very much do take the time because I've kind of learned that self-care isn't selfish, and that's the kind of self-care that's really important is that we're taking time
Yeah,
to to give ourselves what we need. And yeah, so yeah, I'm all for
yeah.
what you're saying. It's great, great.
I tend to do that through a timeout. I know it sounds really silly. So about 2 years ago, I got to a point where timeouts for the kids weren't working. So with them being additional needs, my younger two, they're at home. It's time I said, right, you're going to go and have some time on your own and you're just going to calm down and basically regulate.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I felt myself getting overwhelmed, like, right, I'm putting myself on a timeout. I'm like, what? I'm putting myself on a timeout. Leave me alone for 5 minutes. I'm putting myself on a timeout
Yeah.
because that's what's going to help me stay calm and not be snappy. I use that now in life and business. And
Yeah.
I use it as a tool with the people I work with as well. If I see that they're struggling to make decisions and they've got no clarity, I'm like, right, okay. Usually 9 times out of 10, if they're not taking time for themselves, they're breaking their own boundaries. And I say, right, I'm putting you on a business timeout. They're like, what? I'm like, yeah, you're going on a 24-hour business timeout where you just take care of yourself, spend time with your family, and do things from your joy list. So I have my coach got me to start doing a joy list, and
Yeah.
I created like a family joy list to kind of
Nice. Yeah.
help bring my kids into my business a bit, but also give them a sense of, you know, they're good. And, we pick things off the joy list that make them happy every day and pick things off my joy list that make me happy every day. So it makes me take that time out. Um, and then we pick things off there that we can do together and
I love
just
that.
creates so much more balance, I think, for me. It may be different for everyone, but
Mm.
I just found that was a way of kind of shifting some of that mum guilt, my kids being happy and me being more regulated as well. So
Yeah. And you're modeling that for them, so they know that it's the younger you start, the better. So they're going to grow up with that and that use that tool as they grow up, and they really need it. So yeah, no, I think that's
yeah,
fabulous.
they get so dysregulated at school because they're in mainstream. So my youngest
Yeah.
is autistic. My
Hmm.
middle one, she's being assessed for ADHD and autism, and she's the most dysregulated in school. Got to be honest, and he's struggled going into high school. So they're 11 and 12,
Yeah.
and he's really struggled going into mainstream high school. He's very good at masking. Um, but having the things that we're doing, luckily having learning the tools I'm learning, I'm able to pass them down. Like you said, the younger the better.
Mm.
And they're noticing it in school. They're noticing that they're naturally more regulated, both at home and at
Yeah.
school. And it's that in itself. I used to say that one of my biggest blocks, I thought was saying this, but it's the truth, and I said I'll be transparent. One of my biggest blocks was my daughter's needs. And it is in
Yeah.
some ways, but anytime I couldn't do anything, I was like, oh, it's because she was having another meltdown. Or it's because she wouldn't sleep again. But what it was is that she was dysregulated
Hmm.
and I was dysregulated as a
Yeah.
result. And since we've implemented these kind of tools that I've learned for myself and started like teaching my kids those tools, they're now more regulated, which means I'm more regulated, which means that my work time is more productive. And I've moved quicker in the last few months than I have in the
Mm.
last year because of that. I think it's really difficult to find that balance. But I think when you kind of touch on it, it gives you that like at the end of the time that I can do this even with kids, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, you can. Oh no, amazing. I love you. There's so much value that you've given us today. That is fantastic. Thank you very, very much. Um,
Having me.
do you have anything before you go? Where can people find you and what do you want to tell us about?
So I was hoping to have my new website and all the links up for today. But last night I thought, do I stay up all night and break my own rules and boundaries?
Yeah.
Or do I get rest? So I chose to rest. So by the end of
Good.
the week, my website will be up. But for now,
Perfect.
people can find me obviously at Unstoppable in Business on both Instagram and Facebook. And I have got the framework I was talking about, my
Mhm.
Becoming Bold and Brave bootcamp that will be launching on Friday. So the doors will be opening for enrollment on Friday. Um, and
What exciting
I'm
times.
really excited to, how many people that could help.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what's going on at the minute.
Fabulous. And pop all your links and everything below, and then people can find you because I loads of people will watch this later on, I'm sure. So lovely. And it's so lovely to chat to you. Thank you so, so much. And if you're watching and you want to have more parenting tips and things, and come and join my group, I've just changed the name and I've realized I can't remember it. I think it's Raising Confident, Happy Children. I can't remember. I'll put the link below as well. Professional of me. Thank you so, so much. Bye. Speak to you later. Bye.